So actually we are performing three exercises today. Okay, so these are optional, okay, but important. Okay, so what we are covering today. So yesterday we saw the installation on VM. Okay, so on VM we installed Jenkins and we were able to log in with the username which we created. Today we'll do the installation on using Docker, means on the same VM will install Docker and we'll do that. Okay, use the same VM which you used yesterday. I'm also doing the same, but there will be few changes because there will be some port conflicts, and how to resolve that I'll tell you. So what we will do is I've logged in, just using the netstat command. Okay, check if the port 88 is in use. It is in use. Let's check which is using it. So using lsof command, I'll check. Okay, it's not for port 22, it's for 8080. Okay, so it's saying that it's using Jenkins is using so Java. Okay, Jenkins is based on Java. That means we need to stop Jenkins on it. So when we stop Jenkins on it, it won't create a conflict. So just stop it, systemctl stop Jenkins. Okay, so this will stop Jenkins temporarily. Okay, until this VM is on. To permanently stop it, we'll have to use disable. Okay, but that is not required because tomorrow we'll do everything on VM itself. We won't do on Docker, Kubernetes, or Docker Compose. Okay, so today we'll learn how to install it on Docker, then Docker Compose, then on Kubernetes. Only the installation is important. The after installation, the GUI steps which we do, like installing plugins, creating users and all, that is common. So we have stopped the Jenkins. Let's again check if port 8080 is in use or not. So it will give the empty response. Also check with the netstat command. Okay, so it's empty. The port is not in use. So let's install Docker. Okay, so we are performing this in exercise, Jenkins installation on Docker, or using Docker, you can say. Just paste it. It will start the installation of Docker. So Docker is installed. Let's check sudo docker ps. Docker ps. Okay, so the Docker is installed. Now we'll run a Jenkins container. Okay. So there are these steps I have added. Okay, to check the IP address and all, to make this entry. This is optional, but it is better to have. Okay, so I'm not doing that. So what we'll do is we'll also create a Docker volume, because you know that it's ephemeral. Container is ephemeral. So let's check if there is already a volume. There is no volume. Let's create one Docker volume. Jenkins data. Okay, so the volume is created on which will store everything which Jenkins requires. Okay, so now let's launch the container. So using this command, copy it properly. Okay, so what we are doing is running a Docker container in a detached mode. We'll be mapping port 8080 inside the container to this host port 8080. We know that Jenkins runs on port 8080, and even to the outside world we'll expose it on port 8080. And we are just mapping the volume which we created inside the Jenkins container on this directory where Jenkins underscore home. We are giving container name Jenkins and we are using Jenkins as the image name. Okay, so again it is downloading it from Docker Hub. Now let's check sudo docker ps, and we can see the Jenkins is running on port 8080. Okay, so I'll have to check the public IP of this VM. Okay, and on that public IP I can access. If you are doing it on your laptop, it will be your laptop's IP 192.168 similar, and just try to access it on port 8080, and we can see that it's asking for this initial admin password. So this time we'll have to go inside the container and get the details. Okay, because it is not on the VM which has the Docker running. Okay, it is inside the container, it is running. So how to log in into that? Sudo docker exec-it, open an interactive terminal for this container. Okay, /bin bash. Okay, then just do cat and we can see the password. Okay, so this is the only difference and a bit tricky how to get the initial password. Okay, and then we can the other steps are just the same as we did yesterday. Install suggested plugins and enter our username and password after that. So let it complete. So whatever we learned till now, like Docker, that we have implemented now in a real time.
So the in this one installing that pods, right?
Yeah, no, it is not pod, it is a container.
No, yeah, assume
Yeah,
that okay.
yeah, it is a container. It is doing inside the container, right?
So when it's coming to number of container, it's called pod, right?
When we use
This
Kubernetes,
code,
it's called pods. In Kubernetes, we call it pod. In Docker, just a Docker container. So the plugins are installed, and we'll quickly add our username, password, full name, email address. Okay, and just save and continue, and save and finish, and we can see the Jenkins is ready, and this is the Jenkins dashboard. So this installation we completed using Docker.